Let's get back to journalism. Opinions on today's James Foley front page. So clearly, how far do you go on the front page, or any of the pages, frankly? Anyone want to talk about that?
Well, I think we've probably gone further than most with this, particularly with the Daily Telegraph here and elsewhere. But look, this is the most horrendous thing that's going on in our world, and hiding the brutal reality of this from anybody I don't think is in anybody's interests. And in a democracy like ours, it's terribly, terribly important that we understand the importance of hanging on to this democracy, this freedom that we have as a community. And we're seeing in absolute contrast on front pages, ours included, what the alternative that other people would want to foist on us.
Yep.
And we're prepared to use a pretty, straight up, brutal, for our readership to have a look. This is what other people would like to be happening here in Australia. We don't want it.
I think the other view on that front page is that that image is available in other media, other social media, and that it's a very emotive issue, and that I think we need to be conscious of, if we're going to be seen to be relevant, not just that you just get that image elsewhere, that we also are able to have that as a publishing option, if that's so chosen. Mm-hmm. And equally, it's a very emotive issue which was covered very emotionally.
Yeah.
So, I don't think there's one size fits all here. Clearly, you're not going to put it up on children's TV, are you? Right. So every editor of every publication, every masthead, every website has to make their own call about relevance to their audience. Mm-hmm. And that's it. And that's why we, everyone, all of us, have a variety of different mastheads and publications serving different audiences, and we have good people making those calls, and it's going to be different, as it should be.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that I trust our editor Brett McCarthy. He knows his market really well, and I think he'd know how far he could go. But I don't disagree with what you've said either, Julian. I think it's stark, and it shows what the world's like.
I was just going to want to talk about speed, and the need for speed, and is this really something that's difficult to manage? I.e., I've got to get the story done, I've got to get the story online, I'm getting the story online immediately, and then maybe I'm checking up on the story a little later. Am I being unfair when I say that might be happening? Because it must be incredibly difficult just to keep up with the need for speed.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
You look at. I started as a journalist in the late 70s with typewriters, fixed line telephones, and you left the office and no one could find you, which was absolutely fabulous. But these days, our journalists have to get their story out, right? And publishing is as much through the publication as it is as a self-publishing responsibility. And they build they're building their own brands.
Yeah.
They're building their own brands, and they have to be fast, be accurate, be smart, and be deep, right? And that's incredibly tough and challenging. But you know what? They're rising to it. Or not, in fact, they're rising to it. They have risen to it. Yeah. And the people that you see in journalism who cover this space now are just fabulous people who are doing things which, previous generations didn't imagine.
The risk, of course, is that the Google alert has already alerted a story which has maybe gone up there quickly, and then the clean-up happens afterwards.
Yeah, but I'll give you another camera angle on this, Russell, that, a journalist will write maybe an exclusive story. They will themselves post 2 or 3 paragraphs to social media. The backwash from social media back to our websites or apps is just enormous.
Yeah.
It is absolutely not. It's the classic example of how we've used our competition to our advantage. The other thing I would say about it too is that the technology that we've now all had to put in our case it was $60 million worth, is built around the concept of you produce the content once, but from that you publish it multi times. And so the investment had to be made up front to do this. But now we're publishing,
Yeah.
whether it be the newspaper or the web, or the websites or the apps, it's just, as I say, produce once and then broadcast out.
Yeah.
That's the trick, I think, that the technology's panned out the way that it should to publish under those conditions, and it was like 3 or 4 times handling to publish on all those platforms. And Julian's quite right. The technology that you have now lets you do it all in one hit.